Hey guys, it's Spirit House here. I'm really incredibly bored because I've been without power going on 3 days now, and I have to conserve my phone energy. But I wanted to just share my two favorite, probably because I'm craving like my own home cooked food because I can't cook right now. But I wanted to share two of my vegetarian recipes that are like hands down my very favorite. I mean, you can add chicken or shredded beef to the one of them's Mexican, okay? So for the enchiladas, you could add chicken, like roast chicken or cooked chicken, and add it to this if you want meat in it, or like a tri-tip roast. Slow cook it at 325 for like 3 hours, and then shred it up and put like cumin and Mexican seasonings on it, and then shred it up and put it in this. But this is a vegetarian recipe, okay? Um, it's meatless Mexican enchiladas, black bean and cheese, black bean, corn, and cheese enchiladas. And this is like, it's got homemade sauce, and it is the best sauce. I use this sauce on other things too. I mean, it's so good. And so I'm going to share it. I'll also post it on my community board. I don't usually write out recipes, but I don't usually I go off. I've cooked so long that I stuff out, but I actually took note of what I did and then wrote it down so I could share it. So this is just something as a treat for you guys. Kind of like out of character for my channel, but I just wanted to share it with you. Um, okay, so for these black bean and cheese enchiladas with ranchero sauce, it's homemade sauce, and I buy the dried fire roasted chilies. You can find at the international markets. You can even find them at the 99-cent store if you're in America, or like the Dollar Tree or anywhere like that. But international food stores with the dried chilies. Any kind of California chili or ancho chili will work for this, okay? Um, so you want um, I usually use a half a bag to a whole bag, depending on how many people I'm cooking for. This serves six, so a half a bag of ancho chilies would probably work for six servings. But anyway, it's like a half a bag to one whole bag of dried ancho chilies. And if you want it more concentrated, you can use the whole bag, okay? Um, you stem them and seed them first, and then you put them in 2 cups of water in a saucepan, or in a pan, and you put two teaspoons olive oil, um, and then and I add the 2 cups organic chicken broth, okay, or any kind of, or I'm sorry, 2 cups organic vegetable broth, not chicken broth. But if you want chicken broth, that's fine. I do vegetable broth. I usually use Better Than Bouillon because it's just a higher quality of bouillon, but whatever you want to use. Anyway, 2 cups um, vegetable broth in with the water, and I boil those dried chilies for usually about an hour. And once they come to a boil, I'll put them down on low, okay, and boil them for about an hour, and then I take the chilies out, kind of strip the meat off of them, and then put into the water. But that's after I seed them first, okay, and cut the stems off. So, okay, so yeah, those dried chilies from any kind of international market are fine as long as they're ancho or like California. You can use any kind you want actually. If you want poblano, you can use poblano. I mean, you can't go wrong with this, okay? So 2 cups water, a half pack to a whole pack of dried chilies, and 2 cups vegetable broth. And then what I do is I take 1 cup chopped yellow onion, or, I like yellow onion, but you can use whatever you want, red onion, whatever. Um, 5 garlic cloves that are pressed. But, if you can, and this is just me because I love to cook, but what I do is I roast my own garlic just to have on hand for cooking, because it's so mellow and it tastes so good when it's roasted. It's like caramelized. So you can buy a whole clove of garlic, and then just chop off the top so that the top part's exposed. Chop off the top so that all of the tops of each clove in the ear of garlic are exposed, and then you brush it with olive oil really good so it soaks down in there. Wrap it in foil, or in a Mexican like a or a Latin like a the terracotta dish, the plate and the cover that goes over it. You can get those wet and then put it in the oven. And I do it for at like 425 for about 45 minutes to an hour. And I'll do 2 or 3 at once just to have on hand for cooking because I love roasted garlic. But it doesn't matter if you don't want to go to that trouble. Then just press or mince 5 garlic cloves, and along with a 1 cup chopped yellow onion, and a quarter teaspoon salt, and some 2 tablespoons chopped fresh or dry oregano, um, and then 2 tablespoons tomato paste. You can use either the organic, like canned tomato paste that comes in the little cans, or I love to use Centro. Centro comes in a tube, and Centro comes in a tube, and it's just like the consistency is a lot is thinner than the canned tomato paste, but it's superb. But if you can't get Centro, it comes in a long box, and it's in a tube, okay, and you squeeze it out. But yeah, that's not a big deal. I mean, I don't mean to be a snob or anything, but that's what I like to use, okay. But anyway, for tomato paste, 2 tablespoons, no matter what kind it is, it's fine. It will work great, okay. Um, a half a teaspoon cumin, 1 tablespoon fresh lime juice, 1/8 teaspoon ground red pepper, 1 15-ounce can black beans, rinsed and drained, 2 cups pre-shredded reduced, well, it doesn't have to be reduced fat. I don't give a F about that, honestly. 4 cheese Mexican blended cheese. I'll use Jack and sharp cheddar. That's honestly what I'll use, or pepper jack, and a little bit of cheddar over the top of the whole thing. But it's you can use whatever cheese you want. It doesn't matter. 2 cups, anyway, shredded cheese, grated cheese. 3 thinly sliced green onions divided. Cooking spray. 12 6-inch corn tortillas. And if you don't want them, okay, there's one thing about this recipe, it's delicious, but the corn tortillas tend to break up. So if you're picky about that, you don't want them to break up, then you can saute them and flip them on each side in a frying pan for like, a minute or 2 each on medium heat, if you don't want them to break up as much, okay? But you don't have to do that. I mean, it's delicious either way. It doesn't really matter because it tastes the same. But if you're worried about the presentation, then you might want to like saute them on either side in olive or avocado oil, for a few minutes. But anyway, yeah. And then so 12 6-inch corn tortillas, 3 tablespoons light sour cream. Now I don't usually use the sour cream because I can't usually have sour cream. Just upsets me unless it's organic because I'm intolerant of guar gum, and that's in all inorganic like dairy stuff. So I usually use like Greek yogurt instead, but you can use sour cream or Greek yogurt. So anyway, yeah, that's the ingredients. So you preheat the oven to 400 degrees. You combine the chilies, 2 cups water in a saucepan, and I put the vegetable broth in with the chilies and the water. Okay. Bring to a boil, reduce heat, simmer 5 minutes. Okay. Remove from heat, let stand 5 minutes. I do it longer, honestly. I combine chilies with 2 cups water, and I cook it for at least a half hour. And then, I bring it to a boil and then simmer for a half hour. Remove from heat, let stand 5 minutes. Drain chilies in a colander over a bowl. Yeah, you want to do that. Reserving 1 cup cooking liquid. I reserve 2 cups because I like more sauce. Okay. Heat. You can heat your oil, like either olive or avocado oil, in a medium saucepan over high heat. Add the onion. Saute 1 minute and reduce heat to medium. Add the garlic. If it's not already, if it's roasted, you don't have to add it to this. But if it's not, if it's minced or pressed, add garlic and salt. Cook 5 minutes or until golden, golden brown, stirring occasionally. Add broth, add the sauce. And next 3 ingredients, through the cumin. Cook 8 minutes or until thickened, stirring occasionally. Pour onion mixture into a blender. Add chilies and reserved liquid. Okay, so you want to add the cooked chilies that you cooked and seeded, and drained out into the blender with the liquid. Okay, remove center piece of blender lid to allow steam to escape. And honestly, I don't do that, but you can if you want. Secure lid on blender. Place a clear towel over the opening, and you don't have to go through all that, believe me. Blend until smooth. Stir in lime juice. See, I've modified this recipe since I originally. Okay. Blend until smooth and stir in lime juice and the red pepper. Okay. Combine the beans, 1 cup cheese, and half the green onions in a bowl. Spread 1/2 cup sauce in the bottom of a 13 by 9-inch glass or ceramic baking dish coated with cooking spray. Warm tortillas according to package directions. Like I said, I just put them in raw, or I'm gonna do them in a frying pan ahead of time. Okay, spoon 3 tablespoons bean mixture down center of each tortilla and roll up. Place seam side down in prepared dish. Everybody knows that. Pour remaining sauce over filled tortillas. Top with the remaining cheese. Bake at 400 for 15 minutes or until lightly browned. Sprinkle with remaining green onions and serve with sour cream. And that's it. But the sauce, what's really the great thing about it is the sauce, the chili sauce that's blend. So once you cook it, basically you put it into a blender. You put all the chilies that were cooked with the vegetable broth and the water into a blender and blend it smooth. And oh my gosh, it's so good. And black bean corn, if you want to add chicken, I mean, it's great. If you're not a vegetarian, it's great. But it's so good that way. So that's that recipe. And I'm just going to tell you off the top of my head another one. This is a bonus, like a bonus recipe. Is my marinara sauce. And it's so simple and it's so good on so many things. So it's, you can either go with a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, or you can go with 10 Romas that are blended in the blender, that are seeded first. Take the seeds out because I go with Romas because they don't have as many seeds. You can go with Camparis because I love Camparis, but you're gonna have to seed them more because the seeds in the sauce aren't as good. Okay, and so I go with 10 Romas or like 12 Camparis, and I blend them after I seed them, and it's you blend that up, and then in a saucepan you either add the roasted garlic. Like I say, I always have roasted garlic, but not everybody does. You can press it or mince it and put it in olive oil and saute it till it's golden brown, and I do at least 3 cloves. I do usually like 4 or 5 cloves because I like a lot of garlic, but it's up to you. And so I do that, separately in a frying pan. I saute, the garlic, and then I'll throw it in. If it's already roasted, then you just squeeze it from the ear of garlic, or squeeze a couple of cloves out that are already like roasted, and just straight into the puree. But you put the puree in a pan, a cooking pan, like I don't know how many ounces. I don't know, but it's like put it in a decent sized saucepan that has some depth to it, and So you put the puree, pour the puree from the blender in there, and then you saute the garlic, throw it in there, and then I do, if you don't have fresh basil, I do a ton of basil. I mean, I'll do like 4 or 5 teaspoons of basil in there. If you have fresh, I would do probably, I would say, a half a cup of fresh basil and throw it in there, and a cup of water, because it's going to cook down. You're gonna cook it for a long time, simmer it. So a half cup to a cup of water, depending on how long you want to cook it. I cook it a long time, so I put a cup of water along with the puree and the garlic and the basil, and then all I do is add salt and pepper, and it's so good. If you just you bring it to a boil and then you bring it down to a simmer, and I cook it like for at least an hour, you know. And that is so good on anything. I mean, you can use it on pizza, you can use it on anything. You can use it on like manicotti. There's a vegetarian recipe I love that I use it for. That's stuffed jumbo shells, those jumbo pasta shells that you can buy at the store, and they're jumbo. They're like, I don't know, 2 inches each, and they're giant shells. They're like shaped like a puka shell, kind of. Um, and you take 1 can of garbanzo beans, and you drain it, and you put it in a food processor with a half of a yellow onion, 1 egg, and what else is it? Okay, this is off the top of my head. I'm sorry because I've made these so long. Salt, pepper, and basil. Okay, and you throw all that into a food processor. Okay, and you blend it all together, and then you stuff the shells with the mixture of garbanzo beans, the egg, the onion. Oh, and it gets garlic. I'm sorry, it does get garlic. It gets like 3 cloves garlic in with everything else. But I would saute the garlic first and the onion, or I would I would saute the garlic and onion first. But then you throw it in with the processed garbanzo beans and the egg and the herbs and salt and pepper, and you stuff these jumbo shells with it. And I cook a whole package, and I just stuff all of them in a 9 by 13 pan, and I grease the bottom of it or spray it with olive oil or whatever. And then I stuff all these shells, and then I pour that marinara sauce on top of them and cover it with like your favorite cheese. Like it could be Jack, mozzarella. It could be like, it's usually, for me, it's like Parmesan, you know, and a little bit of mozzarella, on the top. And oh my gosh, it's so good. And that's another vegetarian recipe. And if you want it vegan, you can leave out the cheese, but it's so good. But anyway, I just wanted to share those 2 recipes with you guys. I hope you enjoy them because they're 2 of my favorite recipes. And that, like I said, that ancho sauce or the ranchero sauce and the marinara sauce for both of these recipes, they're versatile. You can use them for multiple other recipes, and they're so good. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy that. And I love you, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.